3, 2, 1.
What are you doing, J-Dogg?
Oh. Hey Jig, I just got sent a message from myself 10 years in the future, and I have to figure out how to respond to it.
Dude, you're like 18. How do you think?
Done.
With what?
My time machine.
Dude, you're not even old enough to drink. How'd you even do that?
Well, to put it simply,
2 hours later.
finally, my future self told me to look into my heart and find what was there all along. And you know, I've always been a big Jimmy Neutron fan my entire life.
Really?
Well, yes, actually. In the process of channeling my childhood hero, I found the same scientific mind of his to build my own time machine. Now, if you'll excuse me... Ah, nuts.
What?
Out of all the parts I need, because I'm an idiot who loses all the things he needs for a time machine conveniently before even attempting to make one. Now I need to go on several pointless side quests before I get some decent payoff around here.
Wait, what?
Well, you see, my dear Watson, I'm actually basing my Jimmy Neutron experience off of the Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius video game for PC, developed by AWE Games and published by THQ.
Oh no.
Come on, think.
Brain blast, Jake!
What now?
Maybe if the science of time travel is within my love of the game, then maybe actually exploring the game will help me find all of the remaining bits I need.
I don't see any flaws in that logic.
Then let's get to work!
3, 2, 1. Gotta blast into the stars, fueled by candy bars. Rides the kid with a knack for invention. With a super-powered mind, a mechanical canine, he rescues the day from sure destruction. Ah! Is this the theme song for Jimmy Neutron?
Okay, you're gonna get that coffee in 5 minutes, or you're dead. Hey, welcome back to Blank Sands and my new series, J-Dogg's 1v1, where I review games and take them on 1v1. Now, we are all here because of a very serious event, me trying to contact my future self. And of course, I'm all dressed for the occasion, look really nice. Actually, I really like this. I think I'm gonna wear this more often. Really like the pants, but before we get into that, we have to dive a bit deeper into my past. You see, back in the day, I had this old E-machine set up in my living room, and it was a bit of a clunky machine, I'll tell you what. But it could play several games that were not terrible, including Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, woo! SimCity 3000. It could play Sid Meier's Pirates of Life. It could play Arthur's Wilderness Adventure. Nicktoons that's a game? Nicktoons Basketball? We got Where's the Blanket, Charlie Brown? Whoa! But let me tell you something. Of all those games, in my heart, there's only really one for me. Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. Hey, nope, stop the booing. Stop it right now. You know, it just held such a nostalgic place in my heart. But, no matter, can't let nostalgia carry me on forever. Right now, it's a 1v1. Me versus Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. And to actually review the game, I'm going to be using our J.A.R.S system. What is J.A.R.S, you ask? Good morning, my fellow Americans. I hear you've been living a sad sack of a life not knowing what the J.A.R.S review system is. Well, let me tell you something. The J-Dogg Accurate Review System, or J.A.R.S for short, is a very simply devised system that allows me to calculate, based on a certain number of highs and rankings, the way that a game is presentable to general public. Now, there's a bit of a complexity to this, so make sure to hold on to your hats. Now, before we do anything in the review, I make sure to give you a fine overview of the game we're playing so you understand exactly how I'm critiquing the system. And then after that, we break up into two different parts, gameplay and world. Each part has several different factors that will be giving a ranking out of 3 points. Each point will be determined based on the episode specifics. And after that, they will all be tallied up to create a total of 21 unique points. Now that's not all, folks. You see, what happens is that after we get that initial point system, we also make sure to factor in what I like to call boundary check. And boundary check is a bonus 2 points that a game can get for either being extremely good or extremely ironically good, depending on a set of circumstances. You cannot judge all games based on factors of hard facts alone. Sometimes emotion comes into it. So, you ready to use J.A.R.S?
Based on the skyrocketing success of the same name.
Meet Jimmy Neutron. He's a boy genius.
And released on November 7th, 2001, this game had 3 versions for different systems, and actually functioned. I know this seemed crazy, but around the time companies like THQ were churning out movie licensed games, and not all of them were the best. And on the computer end of things, games like Quake and Grand Theft Auto 3 were showing the true power of modern gaming on PC. So how did Jimmy Neutron fare up to this? Yeah, yikes. But the game did release to moderate reviews on consoles and not the greatest reviews on PC. Well, be that as it may, I still have nostalgia for the game to this day, and even researching the game for this video, I found files and videos on whole demo versions of the game and began to freak out. It was like taking a peek into the heart of one of my childhood games, and it was just so weird. But games aren't about nostalgia, they're about playing, so how's the gameplay? I have no idea what this game is. Is it action, adventure, platformer, puzzler, mental health checker? It has everything, but none of them are any good, so I have no idea where the focus was. Overall, this is just a sad cluster of open-ended environments with no point, due to an extremely linear story, mild and depressing platforming, boring puzzles that only slightly become infuriating, I'm looking at you, power plant, and no motivation to go forward unless you're in for the sheer curiosity of finding and playing with new gadgets. And the points are just completely worthless. The only thing you gain from collecting points is a headache from the sound effects coming from the collection of point multipliers and boosters, and I think you can get, like, drinks from vending machines, but I'll talk about the sound another time. The only redeeming value to playing is the end, where you get a gadget that lets you fly around in a rocket, and you can fly in almost any of the game's locations, despite only needing it for the last one. I remember how much fun I had breaking the areas when I was a kid with this, especially, just flying around the downtown area, circling the place or whatever it was, and that last race towards the Okean ship was just as fun now, albeit just an average flying section, compared to any of the game focused before.
This time around, we're going to use Jimmy's ridiculous head as our point system, and with that, I give general gameplay 1 out of 3 points.
Standard tank controls. Do I need to say more? Because if you're a gamer, and you've played a game like that before, you'll probably wince in pain like I do whenever I move Jimmy around. But you know what? Since we're all here, let me just go over why this is such a problem. Tank controls are like a tank. You can move forwards and backwards, but turning is only rotating to the left or right. Now, I know this looks real natural, but trust me, it only feels worse when you're trying to move around platforming sections. Bubsy 3D was a pioneer in showing why this doesn't freaking work right.
Now, what would a platform game be without platforms?
In a platformer of any kind, and that came out 5 years before this. There's no excuse.
Controls get 1 out of 3 Jimmy heads.
Despite my complaints about the general gameplay, I really think the pacing is quite alright. You can take your time with the tutorials for each new gadget, the actual required tutorial in the beginning of the game breezing by in an instant, and the small locations allow for quick access between plot events. Along with this, the general tension and excitement of the game ramps up during the second half, and just feels like an event by the time you go to Area 51 for that final mission. The game took me less than an hour to beat, but I was kind of rushing for the review. In Retroland, one of the areas in the game, there are a bunch of minigames that you can take part in, like hitting glasses off of a stack and riding a roller coaster. Well, they aren't fun in a video game sense. I remember spending so much time here as a kid that I could see the appeal now, a place for a kid to have fun away from the increasing pressures of the story, and I assume that added hours upon my original gameplay time.
Because of the surprisingly thoughtful design, I generously give length 2 out of 3 Jimmy heads.
This isn't difficult for me to say at all, despite this section being difficulty. This game is designed for kids, and as such, it was a breeze for me. I would give it no points based off of my explanation of the gameplay, but I have to take into account that because this was made for kids, I'm not the target audience. And along with this, I do remember as a kid me having difficulty with areas such as the final rocket chase and the power plant.
I quite sadly award difficulty 1 out of 3 Jimmy heads. Meh. Ew. Ugh.
Yeah, these graphics are not the best. However, I have to give props to the level designer. Not for the platforming segments, oh my goodness, those are just the worst! But I have to admit, for not having the movie even out while developing the game, the locations look both authentic to the source material and functions as simple locations for the events that happen in the game quite nicely. For example, I love how the neighborhood acts as this nice tutorial area where you have a bunch of things to explore around, and it's a nice place to test out all of your gadgets. Retroland is amazingly captivating, even for me now, as I love the concept of theme parks and games. If you couldn't tell by me owning Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, all the areas seem to kind of blend into each other, and you have all of those sounds in the background just kind of fueling into this area that exists. The school, while not the best, feels like an actual school, and the dirt track out back is not something that a school would actually have, but it's simply designed, and I can't really fault it for that. And the Yokian ships are actually, well, they're not like the best designed ships ever. They certainly could be far worse, and certainly could have far less effort put into them.
With that, I give the graphics a generous, I'm being serious here, I'm generously giving graphics a 2 out of 3 Jimmy heads. So overall, a very weird, odd, ambient track list for Jimmy Neutron. I really don't think it fits all that much, even though I do have a bit of fun with it. But that Area 51 track, that's just scary. That scarred me as a child. With that, I give music and sound 1 out of 3 Jimmy heads. Oh yeah, and all those effects. All those effects for like when you get points. Ugh, just terrible. 1 out of 3 Jimmy heads. Hey Jimmy, go do this thing. You suck. Hey Jimmy, I hate you and I hope you know that. And then about 10 seconds later, Jimmy, please, we need your help. The Yokians, oh no, oh no. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole game. The whole thing.
I know, that's it. It's like they took the movie's plot and crushed it before only taking a bite and spitting it back out. I shouldn't be as mad as this story as I am, but it's almost like they wanted to do the movie's plot, just kinda giving up halfway through and making up a boss that wasn't in the movie to sell more toys. I also made a jab in the beginning of this video that this game is really just a prolonged fetch quest, and I'm not exactly wrong. More than half of the motivating things in this game revolve around just getting something or being told to do something. I remember at one point you have to go find your father because you need a key to like unlock his toolbox or something like that. There's a point where you have to go back and forth between the school like 4 times. I think the school's like the most visited location in the game if you use the telephone boost to teleport everywhere. I feel like you're just always there to do something or something else. It's not the best. It's not the best.
I give story 1 out of 3 Jimmy heads. 1 out of 3 Jimmy heads. It's all it gets. So this game, it was pretty not the best. But what it did do is it gave me a nostalgic boost, and also I just love the cringiness of some of it. Like the models just sometimes they just don't work, and the voice acting, it just doesn't fit with anything, and it's just beautifully hilarious. I mean, I'm sorry. I know that the actual voice actors were in it, and they do a good job. Like, they do the same quality job as they do on the show and the movies, but it's just, I feel like this earned I feel like that earned something. So I'm gonna give this extra point of ironic enjoyment. 1 Jimmy head extra. I don't know where I was going with that. But let me rephrase that. I'm going to give enjoyment 1 ironic Jimmy head. And we are finally at the end, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, I give Jimmy Neutron 10 out of 21 Jimmy heads. Or 10 out of 21 points, whatever fits you, Bill. But what that means is that on the J-Dogg approval rating, I give this game harmless. This game is genuinely harmless, fun entertainment for children of all children-y ages. But it doesn't really do much for me now that I'm an adult, other than nostalgia. And I have to admit that, because other than that, it's not really well designed in any way except for maybe the level design. Level designer, I give you a J-Dogg thumbs up. I did it quickly, so here's a long one. That's what you get. And you know, even back then, it wasn't really the best. Oh my gosh. I know how to contact my future self now. I just broke my button. Oh, that's gonna take some song to fix up. Oh yes, my future self. The J-Dogg loves you. J-Dogg, have a good J-Dogg day. Blank Sand, subscribe, like, bell icon. Actually, don't do those things. You know what you gotta do? You gotta go and you gotta play a video game, then do all that. You gotta. I don't know what else. Just do that. I'm gonna go get this fixed, then contact my future self. Have a good day, everyone. Nuts. Okay, just make sure that coffee's in. Hey, it's blank. This is awkward. I gotta do a little bit of talking, you know? I I gotta make sure that I'm comfortable looking at you, the people. Hey, it's like I get more awkward the more I talk. I gotta get a way to be not awkward. La da dee, la da do, la da 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 do 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 do. Snap out of it. Snap out of it. Let's do this.